Hey everyone, in this video I'm excited to compare Verizon versus Ford and answer which one is the better dividend stock to buy. Starting with comparing the two companies' dividend yield, then I'll look at their most recent short-term prospects, then I'll look at their valuation, and finally I will answer which one is the better dividend stock to buy. So let's get started with the dividend yield. Verizon, with a dividend yield of 7.37%, a very healthy dividend yield, compared to Ford with the 4.42% dividend yield. But remember, when you're investing in dividend stocks, it's not just the dividend yield that's your total return. You're also exposed to changing stock prices. So you need to look at more than just the dividend yield to make a decision on which is the better dividend stock. So let's look further. Ford, in its most recent quarter, had revenue increase by 20% and adjusted earnings per share rise by 66%. Ford has excellent near-term prospects right now. It's been boosting sales, boosting profitability because supply chain shortages in the car industry have led industry-wide promotions to decrease, competition to decrease, which has been good news for profitability across the board. That's given Ford billions of dollars in cash flow that it can now invest in its transition to electric vehicles for the long term. So this short-term boost has been a huge benefit for Ford because it gave it a nice injection of billions in cash flow, and it will ease the transition into the next generation of electric vehicle sales. Verizon, meanwhile, not doing very well in the recent quarter, revenue decreasing by 1.9%, earnings per share falling by 11%, and ever since its most recent quarter in the last week or so, Amazon's been working, trying to find a way if it is actually going to launch its own wireless service for Prime members. That rumor or those rumors have sent Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile stock prices down. If Verizon actually does jump in and launch its own wireless network, that could be a huge downside for Verizon stock investors. So finally, let's look at Verizon and Ford valuation measuring by the forward price to earnings ratio. Very similarly valued. Very similarly valued. If you look at the forward price to earnings ratio, Verizon is trading at slightly cheaper, 7.462. Ford trading at 7.843, slightly more expensive. And you can see recently, if you look just since, let's say, May, you can see that their prospects have switched, right? Verizon used to trade at more expensive valuation than Ford, but that's come down and Ford has gone up as the market has sniffed out that Ford's prospects are excellent in the near term and Verizon's prospects keep getting worse in the near term. And so they've traded down these two stocks and flip-flopped them. And now Ford is slightly more expensive compared to Verizon. So if I was picking one of these two as my favorite dividend stock to buy right now, I would pick Ford. I would pick Ford as my favorite dividend stock. I like that Ford prospects are excellent in the near term. It's generating billions in cash flow. It doesn't look like these favorable industry scenarios are going to end in 2023. It looks like the rest of this year will still be very favorable for car companies. And then starting 2024, it might not be as lucrative, but still, given another 6 months or so of very lucrative prospects, I like the sound of that. And then it'll start to transition and ramp up sales in electric vehicles. So I would pick Ford. I would pick Ford as my favorite dividend stock to buy between these two. But that's all I've got in this video. Thank you so much for watching. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.